Von dort bis hier. Gespräche mit jungen Menschen aus dem Ausland. Aus dem digitalen Innovationszentrum Rostock.
Today we have Dr. Ehsan Ebrahimi in the studio. He is from Iran and he's a research fellow since July 2022 in agricultural science. And first of all, I would like to know how you ended up in Germany and especially in Rostock.
Well, my journey to Germany was actually very accidental. I didn't have a plan to go to Germany. I've done my master at Norway, and then I ended up using this Erasmus exchange program, and that's how I actually came to Germany. And then I got an opportunity to do my master thesis here in Germany, and then the same supervisor offered me a PhD position. So I've done my PhD also in Germany, and then that's how, let's say, I settled down here for a very long time.
Did Rostock have something like anything attractive, maybe like the Baltic Sea?
Well, I've been twice in Rostock before I really started working here, and both of them was for a job interview at the university. So this was technically my third attempt to work at the University of Rostock. When I finished my postdoc in Wiesbaden, then I got this habilitation opportunity at the Rostock University, and for me that was a big chance to join this department, and also the position was high enough for me to convince me to come to Rostock. But before that, I didn't have that much of a deep knowledge about how Rostock would be, except I knew that the university is very old and very, let's say, one of these historical universities in Europe. So that was the things that I knew about Rostock.
So when you came to Rostock or to Germany, was there something that surprised you?
Well, as a person who comes from Middle East with a lot of tensions, so the first things that grabs your attention in Europe is that how everything is very calm, especially how in Germany people leave the streets, go home, preparing for the next day work. So around 8-9 streets are empty. So that's something completely odd for me, because the place that I come from, in the afternoon the life begins, and then people comes out and there's a huge nightlife. But for me, what grabs my attention is that during the week in Germany, the afternoons and the nights are very calm and people prepare for the next day work. So that was the first attention.
Is it because it is hot?
Well, it can be. I've never really thought about that. What would it be? Yeah, that may be temperature. That may be, I don't know, foods and stuff, or that can be cultural. So yeah, I really didn't really get deep to it, but I think you're right. The temperature might have an impact because we have a very hot day time. And when I'm now look at the South Europe, I see that even in Europe, as the temperature is going higher, people more tend to be outside at nighttime. Yeah, but you're right. That may be the temperature.
Yes, there's I don't know what it's called, but in Spain they leave school and they work in noon and then they come back later, just because it is so hot in Spain that they don't want to spend the time in school or at work. And now we shall come to your work as a research fellow. What are your current projects, your current research projects?
Well, I'm quite new in Rostock, so I'm, let's say, at the beginning of preparing my team and the projects. But to give you a hint, I basically work with the soil in terms of chemistry and also the nutrition-wise. My expertise, what I've studied, is mainly organic agriculture. So I brought that knowledge here to establish, let's say, in a small group with regard doing projects with soil improvement. At the same time, in the department that I'm working, there are some projects on the root systems. So combining these two would be, let's say, the future of my projects in Rostock.
I was on your LinkedIn page and I saw some of your publications. And then I asked myself, is climate change and pollution, are those two topics becoming more important or influential?
Well, yes. Technically, when I work on soil, the whole goal is to improve the soil in a way that we use less dependent on the chemical fertilizer and then shift the agricultural sector to the organic version. And also, when we prepare soil in a good condition, that will end up having less greenhouse gas emissions, because soil is a source that also produces some greenhouse gas emissions, which the agricultural activities has a huge impact on that. So my work is basically on improvement of the soil in favor of the organic agriculture, in favor of the environment.
I've seen that all of your publications are in English. Do you need to speak German when you're working as a research fellow, or can you do everything in English?
Well, definitely you need a certain level of German ability if you want to really establish the German university. I mean, there are flexibilities. So we are an academic atmosphere and English is an academic language. But at the end, when you want to communicate with everybody in your department, except the scientific part, you need to communicate with the lab technicians, you need to communicate with some students, which not all of them might be that fluent in English. So definitely you need a certain level of German, but to do your academic job, luckily in Germany we don't have that much problem with English, except there is always a dependency of the other team members, because when your German is not that high quality, then you have less opportunity to get some funds from the fundraiser and stuff, because you have to write all these proposals in German. But there are still opportunities to work in English as well.
Do you plan to someday write some of your publications in German?
Well, my scientific publication, I don't think so, because I mainly publish internationally. It's not just because I don't know German. Even if I knew German, I mean, we have to publish in English because English is an academic language now. And one of the aims of a scientist is that other people can see your work and to be known in the scientific community. And for that, you need to be able to communicate with the other peers and fellow researchers in the other universities. And for that, that's why we try to publish English as much as possible, to have a broader range of people who can really read and use your work.
Do you want to stay in Rostock for a long time, or maybe forever?
Well, first of all, I never say never. But as a scientist, you technically go wherever you have the opportunity. I came to Rostock with a very good opportunity. I will continue in Rostock if there would be an opportunity, and I will stay in Rostock if there would be opportunity. So when you choose to work in science, you choose to not be sure about your future in terms of having a stable, permanent job. So we go wherever that stable job is. If I can pursue in Rostock for a longer time, yes, for sure. If I get another opportunity in another university in a higher position, then probably I will go. So as a scientist, we cannot really plan that 100% that this is the end of the road and I'm gonna stay here, because that's the nature of our job. So,
but you would like to stay, not only because of the opportunity.
Well, in general, up to now, everything was fine. I mean, I'm here for almost 7 months, 8 months, I haven't had any single bad experience, and the work environment was good. People are friendly, and while city is a little bit smaller than where I've been before, but in general, I'm a very adaptable person. So up to now, I haven't had any problem.
If there was something, not something like a material, but more like a German behavior or a German perspective that you would like to see in Iran, is there something like that?
Well, speaking about Germans, I mean, first of all, I really don't like to that much generalize stereotypes and stuff. But for me, what was really astonishing in Germany was that how Germans could be really realistic about their surrounding in terms of society, in terms of the world. As a country which had lots of tragedies at the past, how could they become a pioneer in economy, in democracy, and somehow in culture? So that's something I think it comes from the fact that Germans has this ability to sit down and look at the past and look at themselves and see what was the problem, how we can fix it, how we can move forward. I've seen less ignorance about the problems in Germany compared to the other countries that I have experienced. And I think that's a very, very important character of the German society. I don't know how much this character is expanded among people, or is just the politicians, intellectuals are that much of realistic. But in general, I had this vibe that whenever there is a problem, instead of ignoring the problem, people try to solve the problem. But many cultures, many countries, when there is a problem, they think that it's a shame to really look at it and see what happens, so they try to ignore it or hide it. I barely saw such a things in Germany, which for me was, let's say, a lesson for life. That you have to really look at yourself, honest, and if there is anything good and bad, you have to really see it, take your lessons and move forward.
I think this is a very good time to end the interview. So I thank you for coming here and for giving very interesting information. So thank you.
Thanks for having me, that was my pleasure.
Das war Von dort bis hier. Gespräche mit jungen Menschen aus dem Ausland. Diese und weitere Folgen unter www.rostock365.de